Hello everybody and welcome to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's John Hindorf and Shea Adam with you at the racing capital of the world. That's what they call it around here, and we have got two races this weekend of 40 minutes duration for the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America. 14 corners, 2.5-ish miles, but not on the oval, on the infield circuit, going the wrong way down the front straight, the finish start line, down into turn number one, a tight right-hander, tricky to get your braking point right there, then winding your way onto Holman Boulevard through the chicane at turns 5 and 6, and another overtaking opportunity as you brake for turn 7. Then another twisty bit, back up, running the wrong way, round the oval, and another heavy braking area at turn 12 as you come back onto the infield, round past the pit lane exit, and then sweeping right back onto the start-finish line. Shea Adam is with me. A quick thought, Shea, about the championship in the three different classes that we have here before the cars roll out behind that very lovely Porsche 911 safety car. How's it stand with just 6 rounds to go?
102 points separate Riley Dickinson and Tom Sargent as we get ready to kick this race off. And unfortunately for everyone else in the field, Riley has wrapped up his 8th pole position of the season to start today's race. So there is an opportunity for someone to try and leapfrog the young man from Texas as far as pole goes for tomorrow by setting a faster lap in today's race. But it looks like that'll be another point going the way of Riley, and yet the gap continuing to extend beyond 100 points.
The yard of bricks is what they want to kiss at the end of the races this weekend. Pro-Am has been a decent battle all season as well, Shea.
It really has. Efren Castro leads the way. He's in car number 65 again for Kelly Moss. They have 223 points attached to that number 65 car. In second place, Marco Cironi, the Canadian, who's got more Canadian championships in Porsche racing than just about anyone else, but he only has 182. So in order for him to get back into this championship hunt, he needs to finish ahead of Efren Castro both races this weekend.
And in AM?
Into the AM class now, we do have a good gap for Mark Vame still. MDK Motorsports, MDK being Mark Vame, 237 points. But unfortunately for him, it was Scott Noble, the guy who races the beautiful dark blue and white Porsche with the number 10 on the side, taking a perfect weekend when we ran with NASCAR at Road America. So the gap fell to just 34 points, which means by the end of this weekend, we could have a new championship leader in the AM category, something we haven't had for a very long time because Mark Vame comes in as the defending series champion.
Taking a quick look at the highlights of the grid, Elias De Torre had a problem with his car, burst into flames as he went out for qualifying. The JDX racing car is on the back of the grid. He didn't set a time in that number 4. As far as the AMs are concerned, it is Scott Noble challenging for the championship, who takes the pole position, and more importantly than that, he's got 4 cars between him and his championship contending number 2, Mark Vame, championship contending teammate is the words I was looking for. So those two are quite a long way apart. Mark's got his work cut out to get up towards the front of the AM field. 19th overall for Scott and 23rd for Mark Vame. In Pro-Am, Efren Castro and Alan Metney have been battling for the championship all year, it seems. 65 and 99, they're in 16th and 17th position. As far as the pro ranks are concerned, Sabra Cook is in 15th, Varenchowski in 14th, Nola Sports' Tom Merrill in 13th, Michael McCann for McCann Racing in 12th, 11th Travis Wiley, 10th Michael McCarthy, Jimmy Lebre in 9th, 8th Speedy Dan Clark for Nola Sport, Ryan Yardley for Top Racing in 7th. The top 3 rows, Will Martin for JDX is alongside Sean Varwick for Kelly Moss. Then it's MDK's Jason Hart on the outside of row 2 with JDX's Alan Sedgwick. And the front row, McElroy Racing, Tom Sargent, and our pole sitter, championship leader, Kelly Moss's Riley Dickinson. Nicely formed up as they come onto the front straight. Riley Dickinson Driver's right has the inside into turn one. It's a very slow run. The green flag is in the air. We're racing for Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America here at the TireRack.com Battle on the Bricks weekends at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And the pole sitter converts, and following him through, Alex Sedgwick for JDX Racing tries to make it down the inside. It was 4 Porsches across the track there, 4 wide into turn one. Dickinson's done what he needed to do at the start of the race and has got the whole shot. He goes through that first danger point and has pulled out maybe 2, maybe 3 or 4 cars lengths as he goes through onto Holman Boulevard, the back straight, effectively the middle straight of this circuit. He's moving around, still trying to get heat in the Michelin tyres as he comes to the braking point at turn 7, turns left, and once again 1, 2, 3, 4 across the track behind him as the scraps continue. That was a very confident start from our championship leader, Shea Adam.
It was, and I think the start being under review is examining Stefan Rudzinski, who moved out of his column before the start line, as Alan Metney has gone off the track, started in second in the Pro-Am. He is on the grass, but he's moving once again, pointed in the right direction. Now he's going to have a difficult time trying to catch up with the rest of the field, but stand by for more from Race Control on the start of the race.
That is not doing Alan Metney's chances at all any good. He went off at turn number 9. Nice move. Sean Varwig and Will Martin battling together, and there's a problem. Oh, I thought that was our leader for a moment, but it's his teammate Michael McCarthy, the Kelly Moss racing car with the pink accoutrement on it. One of the Pro Class racing cars. Still, he is moving on the far side of the speedway. Once again, funneling down. Speedy Dan Clark just holding off 1 or 2 people in that number 64 car, battling over 7th, 8th and 9th. Jimmy Lieber, Ryan Yardley, Travis Wiley, Michael McCann, all in there behind that yellow and green car. But at the front, Riley Dickinson has pulled out a second from Tom Sargent and McElray Racing in second position. MDK's Jason Hart in third position. We've got 4th, Will Martin, as they went across the line for JDX, and Alex Sedgwick, who looked like he was making a good start in the number 98 cars, just been shuffled back to 5th position. A lot of people looking at the back of Riley Dickinson's Kelly Moss number 53. That has been the story of the season. We've seen Riley pace himself. He's clearly feeling confident here. These cars have raced here before as part of the Porsche Sports Car Together Festival. So there is some data, unlike most of the other championships here this weekend, for the battle on the bricks. Kelly Moss's Riley Dickinson goes through, and he's pulled out another half a second, 1.5 seconds, and a train of Porsche 992 Carrera Cup cars in behind. Following through, opportunity down at turn number 1, but you've got to get your braking point right. Nice move by the Deluxe car down the inside of the ADR machine. That was nice braking. There is ABS on these cars, of course. John Getz moving up as well in the 57 car for Wright Motorsports. In the classes, Efren Castro has Scott Noble closing in behind him, so the Pro-Am and the Am leaders together. Mark Maccheroni's up to second in Pro-Am. Mark Varme has dealt with 2 of the 4 cars between himself and his class leader. Cross the line. Now, nice move by Jason Hart. Got a battle at the moment with the number 9 of Will Martin, and Martin's gone through, and here comes Dan Clark. This is the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Jason Hart in that MDK car. Will Martin's gone through for the JDX. That's the black and gold stripe car. Oh, there's movement on the luggage compartment on the front of that number 20 car. We've seen this happen before, Shea Adam, and that here with the very fast front and back straight, effectively, that is going to be really hurting that MDK Motorsports number 20 of Jason Hart, yeah.
Yeah, we have seen that before, but I think the other place we saw that was at Watkins Glen, a race that Jason Hurt went on to actually win. So maybe that's his secret. If he bumps the luggage compartment open, it distracts him just enough that he can brake just slightly deeper into the corners. We do have a penalty that has been issued, and that is for Stefan Rudzinski moving out of his column before the start of the race, meaning that he gets a 10-second penalty at the end of the race. But John, just watching the behavior of the cars early on, the guy that I'm keeping an eye on was very impressive in qualifying yesterday. A local man, Sean Barwick. He's from Barrington, Illinois, so not too far away, and a pre-med student at the University of Iowa. He's very much a Midwest guy. He is elbows out and currently fighting for the 6th position. Keep an eye on car number 2 because Sean Barwick is looking to move forward.
Yeah, he's under investigation for coming together with Alex Sedgwick earlier on in the race, and he's got his hands full at the moment, Sean, with Jimmy Libre right there at the start. Shea Adam spotted it straight away. It's a little bit unlucky because the line in which the penalised car was actually slowed up, but you've just got to ease off there, Shea. You cannot break ranks before you've crossed the line.
That is correct. You have to stay in your column, as now we're seeing a pass. I think that's Alex Sedgwick. No, it's Jimmy Libre getting around Sean Barwick. Of course, we were just talking about Alex Sedgwick sitting right behind, watching Libre going through and thinking, that looks kind of easy. Maybe I'll have a go on it. But yes, race control, very diligent through every series that IMSA covers. If it's under the IMSA umbrella, stay in your line until you have cross start finish. Then you can break the column.
And by the way, Elias De La Torre started dead last, up to 21st position, and has made up a position in the pro category, because Michael McCarthy's earlier problem in the Kelly Moss number 7 car, when he was way off on the, actually what is going the wrong way around turn 1, which is the cut through between turn 12 and turn 14. He's lost a couple of positions. So at the front of the field, Riley Dickinson from Tom Sargent by about a second and a half. Tom's got the fastest lap of the race. Scott Noble doing a cracking job as he pulls through the field as well. In the classes, Efren Castro and Scott Noble are just 0.8 of a second between them. They are the respective leaders of Pro Am and Am. Down at turn 1, here's that fantastic battle that's going on for 7th and 8th. Alex Sedgwick back with the car with which he had a little bit of a bump early on, goes to the right-hand side, tries to sharpen the corner a little bit, but just had to take too tight a line there as he came through turn number 4. And Sedgwick in the red, white and black car, in behind the blue, white and black car. That's the battle. 7th and 8th, Varwig and Sedgwick. Alex Sedgwick originally from the Midlands of England, and hasn't raced for a wee while, but this Autosport with JDX Racing concerned, very interesting, trying to get some different people through motor racing, and not just behind the wheel, but also on the spanners and the computers as well. Really interesting program and project that they have, and they're side by side, surely not round the outside. He's almost there. Varwig has to give up the inside of the corner. That's an outstanding manoeuvre by Alex Sedgwick as he came through 13, round the outside, almost looked like he was heading to the pit lane. Toughed it out on what was the outside there because he knew he'd be on the inside at turn 14. He's compromised his exit though and sits in the middle of the road. He's defending as Varwig tries to go around the outside at turn 1. Can't make it, has to drop back in behind. Travis Wiley for Top Racing in the red and white car behind with a little bit of blue. That's the Apex machine, and gets to the inside at turn 3, but gets the nose of the car very much chopped off there. In behind that is the Nola Sport car, isn't it? Yes, it is. That's Tom Murrell in 10th position. So 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th together. Alex Sedgwick trying to make a break for it. Down to turn 7, up the inside, Travis Wiley for Top Racing. More side-by-side action, elbows out from both the drivers, and here comes the Nola Sport car, the white car with the yellow on it. That is Tom Murrell, who takes his opportunity. Lovely piece of opportunist driving there, Shea Adam.
It really was. I don't think there's much life left in the tires of Sean Varwig. Now, you do get 3 sets of new Michelin tires at the start of qualifying. You can throw all 3 at the car if you would like. I think they only did 2 of them, but Sean Varwig pushing very hard for a good qualifying, and he did actually get that. He starts second provisionally for tomorrow's race, but just looking at the crying that we are hearing out of these Michelins already early on in the race. Travis Wiley saw an opportunity. Thomas Merrill then jumped at that opportunity and made the pass. It won't be long until Merrill has caught up to Varwig, and indeed, that's what's about to happen now going into turn 1, John.
The incident between Alex Sedgwick and Sean Varwig has been looked at by race control. There will be no further action on that, deemed as a racing incident. At the front of the field, we haven't seen him for a little while. Riley Dickinson leading out by now almost 3 seconds. He is so good at doing this, almost imperceptibly, finding half a tenth here, a quarter of a tenth there, and all of a sudden he's 3 seconds up the road within the first 6.5 laps. Tom Sargent has got Will Martin for company. Tom Sargent, McElrea Racing, and JDX, Will Martin. McElrea, new team to the championship this year. And Will Martin with Jason Hartright in his wheel tracks, or at least trying to get into his wheel tracks, as Dan Clark is stalking around the back of Jason's number 20 car. 2 very brightly coloured cars for Battle for Fourth. The highlighter pens have been out on those 2 designs, haven't they, as they head onto the start-finish line. McElrea Racing with another hot young Antipodean due for the last couple of rounds of the season share. That was announced this week, bringing more talent into the Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America.
Indeed, and we're going to see Bailey debuting for his first race at Red Sport, reunion number 7, coming up here in just a couple weeks' time. But we do have a very real championship battle still on our hands and at play out on the circuit right now between Tom Sargent and Will Martin. They came in today's race separated by a scant 12 points. So it really is coming down to the wire, and the difference between second and third in the championship might be, well, trivial, you would say, because really, if you're not winning it, well, you're still second. But no, they want to follow in the shoes of the man who has finished second in the championship the last 2 years. That would be Kai Bomberlo, because he's racing in GTD this year, and everybody wants to keep moving up with Porsche.
It's a very good point, actually, that you've made there. Very good point indeed. And this is, I suppose, what you all putting yourself very much in the shop window, and the numbers of drivers down through the years who have cut their motor racing teeth in Porsche Carrera Cup somewhere in the world, or indeed even in Super Cup, who've then gone on to the Porsche driver ranks. Now Scott Noble has pulled out a 10-second lead in the AM category. Mark Kavami, having got within a couple of cars of Scott Noble, has now dropped way back, and he's got 5 cars between himself. No, mate, that's 6 cars. Oh, off at turn 1. Now, this has to be the run around the right part of the circuit for the number 4, Elias De La Torre. I was just going to say how well he's done. He's up inside the top 20 in the JDX racing car. He's lost a couple of positions there, just missed his braking, and had to go through the cut-through. Bright yellow car actually does really well to avoid everybody and then get out of the way. Follows the arrows from that point on. And I think it was Marco Cironi and Scott Noble, actually, that he was very close to there. And Efren Castro was right there as well, so there was a couple of class leaders right ahead of him. Did his absolute best to avoid affecting their race. So yes, Junior Bailey, Porsche Michelin Jeweler Bailey Hall coming across with McElrea Racing, as Shay said. And he will get his chance at our next round at Rensport, next event at Rensport. We'll have that for you. It's not a full IMSA weekend, but Shay and I on duty Special guest in race 2 in the booth will be Nick Tandy, who not only has raced these cars, but has a race team in the UK, a very successful one as well, clocked over 100 victories with the race team. Joe Tandy Racing, named after Nick's late brother. And they race in Carrera Cup GB. So looking forward to that, but let's not wish our lives away. We've still got half of this race and more left. Scott Noble in that very handsome dark blue and white of MDK Motorsport. 18th position overall. Elias De La Torre has fought his way back through, but Mark Varmey is his championship contending teammate. These two have had a great battle. This is a really good run for Scott Noble, Shane, not just in qualifying, but he's been really sensible in the traffic. He's not necessarily battling the cars around him. Michael McCarthy, I see right behind him now, but he's basically taking the points in his part of the race in the AM category.
Yeah, in that moment, a lap ago with Elias De La Torre did cost Scott Noble position on the track. He dropped down about 4 spots, but he does still have a significant advantage over Kwame. It is still more than 10 seconds between first and second in the category, and more than 5 cars into the pit lane. We've just had Ryan Yardley. The crew actually went to work looking at the left side of his car, shaking the wheels, making sure that everything was okay, but there's no urgency to get the top racing car back out on the circuit. But on the circuit, the battle for second has now been joined by Jason Hart, because he is in the same camera shot. Will Martin is positively hounding Tom Sargent.
At the front of the field, it's now over 4 seconds for Riley Dickinson from Sargent. And Will Martin right on his Porsche tailpipes. Behind them, Jason Hart, Dan Clark. We could have a 4 Porsche battle for 2 spots on the podium within the second half of the race. We're exactly halfway through. No, we're not actually, because it's only a 40-minute race here, sorry. We're almost halfway through. We will be in 2 minutes' time. And I get the sense that this battle between Tom Sargent and Will Martin is just slowing them down a tiny bit. 27.4 last time around, and 27.2 for the JDX. Will Martin, who goes to the right, goes to the left, tries to diamond off the corner. Here comes Jason Hart in the bright yellow MDK Motorsport car. And he's dragging Dan Clark. He is the Dan Clark who raced in IndyCar. He's taking some time off. He's back racing, putting his toe in the water with the Porsche Championship, and liked it so much he's decided to come back full season. And now, as I thought, Shea, we've got a 4 Porsche battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th.
And look who's right behind them too, because all of a sudden Jimmy Lieber's got a sniff at maybe his first ever podium, depending on how much this quartet battles amongst themselves. So Tom Sargent has 2nd place. Will Martin wants it. Jason Hart would just like to get back onto the podium, and Dan Clark is going, ooh, I would really like it if you 3 would disappear and I could come up in a second. It's getting pretty intense out there, and Alex Sedgwick not too far back either. Meanwhile, Riley Dickinson has a 4.8 second lead. He is checking out at the front of the field, and the gap from first to second in Pro-Am, Efren Castro can no longer breathe easy, because Marco Chironi is the next car back behind him on the racetrack, and not even 2 seconds back at that.
Yeah, good point. Incident responsibility for car number 2, Sean Varwig, but he's been fortunate. And that little incident with Michael McCarthy early on in the race that sent Michael onto the banking has been assessed as responsibility to Sean Varwig. He's only got a warning for that. I think he'll think himself lucky at the end of the race, and I think Michael McCarthy will not be too happy. But race control have all the angles, and that is their decision. Meantime, in the AM category, it's still Scott Noble who leads. It's only half a minute away from the leader, Mark Varmey, though, now 12 seconds behind him, and with a couple of cars between him, Jake Pedersen and Kyle Washington between the two, battling for AM glory. And Elias De La Torre has just split up the battle between Efren Castro and Marco Cironi as well. But at the front of the field, Riley Dickinson will be smiling to himself. He's eked out another 1.3 seconds, and that's because of the battle that Tom Sargent, Will Martin, Jason Hart and Dan Clark are having. The white and blue car, the number 17, is in second. Then there's a little bit of a gap here, just building up. Has Tom Sargent found something? Has he got some extra performance in his Michelin tyres with just under 20 minutes to go? We are now into the second half of the race. The black and gold car flashing their headlights from Will Martin. Well, that's always going to give you an extra 5 horsepower, isn't it? Only joking. Jimmy Libre in the red, white and black number 74 MDK Motorsports car. He's now joined up with this train. So we've got 5 cars, 6 cars battling for this position, because Alex Sedgwick's not that far away in another red, white and black car. Oh dear, this could get very messy very quickly if somebody misses a braking point in the back of that queue. It's been a good drive by Jimmy Libre in that 74 car. He's up into 6th. Alex Sedgwick, who was battling at the front of the field earlier on, he's fought his way back into 7th position. Still Efren Castro. Now Efren Castro's now got Elias De La Torre and Michael McCarthy, 2 recovering pro drivers between himself and Marco Cironi. And all of a sudden he's got the better part of 4 seconds between himself and Efren. Efren has got 4 seconds and 2 cars between himself and Marco Cironi for ACI Motorsports. That's the battle for the Pro Am lead. The multicoloured red, blue and white machine. Another very lovely livery among many in this paddock. Second race tomorrow, remember. So perhaps there is just a little bit of self-preservation going on here at the moment. Don't want to give the teams to later night. 17 minutes to go. Impressive at the front, Shea. We haven't seen that much of him. We haven't talked about him that much. But once again, Riley Dickinson proving that whatever the situation throws to him, if he's got to fight his way through and take 3rd or 4th, or if he's at the front and he's got the opportunity to stretch away, which is what he's done here, he's got the experience. He's come into this championship totally focused this year.
He has only not won 3 races this year, and all 3 of those he has wound up on the podium as well. So Riley Dickinson doing everything perfectly that he needs to come away a series champion in the Deluxe Porsche Carrera Cup North America. His lap times, John, consistently faster than the people chasing him. The last lap around, Will Martin was 0.003 of a second off of what Riley was able to do. That is the closest that we have seen the gap. It has been growing lap on lap on lap, but also massive shout out to Scott Noble, who continues to extend the gap over our defending Series AM champion Mark Vame. It's now a 15-second lead for Noble, whose last lap was a 28.3. Vame's last lap was a 30 flat. That is so impressive.
Well, and also we should say about Scott as well, Shea, that there's been all kinds of shenanigans going on around him, and he's had to avoid that. He's lost a couple of positions in the overall, but clearly he hasn't let that bother him. He knows who he's fighting, and he can't see him at the moment because there's cars between him. I think this is a really mature, sensible drive from Scott Noble.
It really is. It's one of those hypothetical questions. If a tree falls in the woods and you don't see or hear it, does it actually make a sound? If you're battling someone, but you can't see or hear them, are they still on the track? For Scott Noble, the answer is yes, and he has just been doing exactly what he needs. Anytime someone comes up in his mirror, he's not holding them up, he's not being a bother towards them, but he's not exactly just pulling over and stopping on the side of the track either. No. That's what we've seen from Scott Noble at Sebring to kick off the season at the first round of the championship, and then again at Road America. I wonder what's clicked in his brain, because the driving style, John, it's way different.
And it's got the Raiden Racing Jake Pedersen car behind him, the Jacob's Coat of Many Colours car. And let's see how he deals with this. He just has to breathe out of the throttle somewhere so that he doesn't lose too much pace. And he's let him through. And that as he comes onto the start-finish line through 14. Great place to do it, stayed wide. We've also got Grady Willingham as well for Goldcrest, getting out of the way of that battle for second. He did that deliberately in the rain car. That was him. He's not in a battle with anybody at the moment. And by the way, Top Racing's Ryan Yardley came to the pits about 4 or 5 laps ago, and we've not seen that car back in. That's nice driving from Grady Willingham. Just ran on at turn 1 to keep out of the way of what was going on behind him, using his indicators, his flashes as well, to let drivers know where he's going on the track, so as not to hold up. I think it was Travis Wiley who just went past him there. Efren Castro still leads in Pro-Am, 15th position. Elias De La Torre and Michael McCarthy recovering back up through the field. Then Marco Cironi's back on the end of that. So Cironi in the number 82 car, just trying to get a little bit closer, and this could make things a little more interesting. Cironi's 2.6 seconds further back from this little group of 3. So this is a little bit of a danger time from Efren Castro. The 2 cars behind him, the yellow and grey and the white, green and pink car, not in his class, so he's got to find some way of letting them through. Meantime, the battles continue for 4th spot. Marco Cironi just trying to get on the back with that dark grey and green number 82, trying to get onto the back for AC Motorsports of that 3-car battle. The opportunity is right now, whilst that 3-car battle is there ahead of him. Coming down into turn 1, the red and blue car is the class leader. 2 cars not in class behind, and then Cironi trying to get on terms. Still 13 minutes to go here, Shea.
Just pulled into the pit lane, I think, again, moving out of a way of a giant group of cars. So really congratulate the sportsmanship that we are seeing in this series. And the battle is on. Efren Castro does not have to keep the cars behind him that are behind him, and they want to catch up indeed to Stefan Rudzinski, but they don't need to, because Stefan, remember, has a 10-second penalty for the improper start. So even if Elias De La Torre and Michael McCarthy stay in line, they will indeed jump up a position. Efren Castro does not know that, and he is trying to keep 2 cars between himself and then Marco Cironi, the guy he's battling in the championship.
A very quiet and considered race by Sabra Cook for Kelly Moss. She's sitting in 13th position in the number 37 car. It's a great story, if you're not aware of it. The team of Kelly Moss putting together some sponsors and effectively a scholarship program for a female driver for the full season of Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America. And Sabra has worked very, very hard to get herself into this position, thanks to Andy Kilcoyne and Victoria Thomas at Kelly Moss Road and Race. They have stepped up massively this year as well, gone into the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship as well with 2 cars, and that's a big undertaking. But this is their spiritual home. Multi-championship winners, Kelly Moss, formerly Kelly Moss Road and Race, of course. Lovely people, the absolute life and soul. Well, we are so fortunate in this paddock to have some great teams and some great individuals who love their motor racing, giving the opportunity to young drivers coming through, talent that they have tried to nurture. Let's not forget Riley Dickinson as well at the front of the field, also in a Kelly Moss car. Sean Varwig in 9th, Sabra Cook in 13th, Michael McCarthy fighting back to 16th. Now that's been a good run. Efren Castro leading Pro-Am, and Alan Metney 4th in Pro-Am. All Kelly Moss cars, one of the super teams in this championship. Shea Adam down in the pit lane.
Victoria Thomas was actually telling me yesterday, John, that in sports car racing, they are the most prolific team in North America as far as cars running on any race weekend. They have 25 full-season Porsches that they run across several different championships, and that is quite a remarkable stat.
That is an extraordinary stat and just tells you how hard-working they are. James McCann just going a lap down in the grey and white number 83. And that is the battle for second. Tom Sargent and Will Martin have broken away from Jason Hart and Dan Clark, and down the inside there's almost contact. There is contact, and round goes Sargent. Will Martin continues, slips it down into first gear for McElrea Racing's Tom Sargent, but there was contact on the right rear of the 17 from the left front of Will Martin's number 9 JDX racing car, and he's dropped way down. That was a turn 12 coming off the banking. Picked that out as an action area, and that is a car that doesn't look great at the moment. He's come out in 7th position, I reckon, there for that number 17. And right across the curb for Will Martin. That will be being looked at. Cuts in really late in the JDX black and gold car. How will race control see that? Positions being lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions gone in a couple of heartbeats. The JDX car had to jump the curbs. There was no further to the right that Will Martin will go, and he was coming from a long way back in that MIT JDX car. Under review, the incident that we've just been describing. I suspect that potentially there were some bad words said into the helmet of Tom Sargent there of McElrea Racing. Dropped him down to 7th and dropped him 6 seconds on that fabulous battle that we were having. It robbed us of a decent battle as well. That's the other thing. Riley Dickinson with 5.6 seconds on the lead. Will Martin now in second. He's got 2 seconds from himself back to Jason Clark and Jason Hart and Dan Clark battling for 3rd position a little bit further down the field. 14th and 15th, the 2 out of position pro drivers. Elias De La Torre, whose car had a little conflagration going out in qualifying, didn't set a time, so he started from the back in the JDX number 4. He's got Michael McCarthy, who had that incident earlier on with, who was it? It was the number 7, wasn't it? Michael McCarthy, sorry, with the Sean Warwick number 2. And that pushed him down the field. So the question now for me, Shea Adam, Dan Clark and Jason Hart, round about 3/4 of a second between them for the last spot on the podium.
Or is it? Or is it the 2nd and 3rd spots on the podium? Once race control has weighed in on the incident, that could be a much more important finishing order between the 2 of them to be debated. I'm very impressed by Tom Sargent's recovery to stay ahead of Thomas Merrill. I thought he was dead in the water on that one, honestly, John. But the Australian managing to stay ahead of the American, and into the pit lane comes car number 9, Will Martin. Incident responsibility with the 17 of Tom Sargent. Drive-through penalty. This is going to be a very long trip down a very long pit lane for Will Martin.
And that puts Jason Clark, as Shea mentioned, into second. Jason Hart, excuse me, into second. Dan Clark into 3rd. And Jimmy Libra, who's having a stonkingly good drive for MDK Motorsport, started just inside the top 10, now up to 4th position, and only a 1.5 seconds from a spot on the podium. Behind him, there's a great battle going on with, he's having a great battle, should I say, with Alex Sedgwick, and Alex actually has just won that battle. So Jimmy actually was only about 3/4 of a second behind Dan Clark, and he's dropped back a little bit, and Sedgwick has taken the opportunity in the JDX racing car, the red, white and black machine. So now can Alex Sedgwick close on Dan Clark for 3rd position? They're sitting only around about 1.5 seconds away from a podium spot with 5.5 minutes to go. Riley Dickinson 26.9 last time around, was closed in on by 0.2 of a second for Jason Hart, but that is a 7.5 second gap now. Dan Clark sits a further second back with those two brightly coloured cars in second and third, the 20 and the 64. More penalties coming in, Shea Adam.
This may be far from settled, John. Incident involving cars 98 to Alex Sedgwick, currently P4 after making that pass, and car number 20, Jason Hart, currently P2 from lap number 1 is under review. So that means that 2 cars in the top 4 are being looked at by race control as well.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Libra just needs to keep his head down. He's closing in on Alex Sedgwick. He's down to just a second now. Tom Sargent, another 1.5 seconds further back in 6th. This is a brilliant drive back, and he's taken the fastest lap of the race. So Tom Sargent now with the fastest lap of the race, 125.841. And here comes the penalty. Shea Adam.
He's going to drop down to 10th place if the gaps were to stay as they are right now. Will Jason Hart, because he has been given incident responsibility for an incident that happened on lap number 1 with Alex Sedgwick in car number 98, meaning our provisional podium right now is Riley Dickinson, Dan Clark, and Alex Sedgwick. Wow.
Well, Sedgwick was right up at the sharp end early on, and then he disappeared back in the field. I have to say, I didn't quite catch the full story of what had gone on there. He's fought his way back to a genuine 4th position. That will end up being 3rd with that Jason Hart penalty. So, I mean, effectively, that is going to push Jason Hart down, way down. Is he going to still even be in the top 10? I'm not sure. He'll be pretty close on time to somewhere around about where Travis Wiley is for top racing at the moment. So, yeah, bottom end of the top 10 behind Sean Varwig for sure, and nothing he can do about it. Only 3 minutes 14 seconds to go, so he's just got to get his head down. The only good thing for Jason Hart is he's got clear track ahead of him. He's only got the leader ahead of him, and also up the road is a lapped car. I think that was the 50, who's the 53 just gone by, but that is a long way. So he's just got to basically drive qualifying laps now and hope that Dan Clark, and particularly actually looking down, Sean Varwig, Travis Wiley, Thomas Merrill, he's got to try and find a few seconds to try and stay ahead of him, of those guys rather. The problem is in 6th position, Tom Sargent is going as quick, if not quicker, than most of the cars ahead of him. So he's trying to make up the gap. So brilliant work by our replay team, and it was a run into the back of Alex Sedgwick at turn 12 on the opening lap that just pushed Sedgwick wide in that JTX Autosports car, and maybe that is also what just slightly knocked the front luggage compartment lid awry as well, because that's been flapping around since the end of lap 1. So that's what it was for, leaning on another competitor. Penultimate lap for the leader, comfortable, and Riley Dickinson's taking another step towards this championship here. Michael McCann and Varun Chodsky having a cracking battle. McCann took it for a moment and lost it. Again, 2 corners, 2 place changes for what is 9th and 10th position. 10th and 11th position, excuse me. As Michael McCann tries to come round the outside, there's contact. They're leaning on each other. Careful, lads. There's only one to go after this. Let's keep it nice and clean. Very dusty offline around that part of the circuit. 9 and 10. Coming through to the end of the lap. In fact, that was 12 and 13, excuse me, as they're coming into now. And again, the overlap by McCann. Tries to go around the outside. Travis Wiley with his fastest lap of the race last time around in 9th position, still has some performance left in his Michelins as he tries to chase down Sean Varwig for 8th. The white flag shown to those two. Riley Dickinson already on the back straight, Ullman Boulevard. What a race this has been for Riley. Shea Adam got the whole shot, hasn't panicked. No intervention from the 911 safety car. Clock up another W for Riley Dickinson and Kelly Moss.
This would be win number 8. I'm not giving it to him until he has crossed the yard of bricks, but for Riley Dickinson, this is exactly what he wanted to do as he drops 2 wheels all the way over the curbs and onto the dirt, pushing hard, as is Efren Castro, still battling to try and maintain the lead. Marco Cironi has caught him, and now the Pro-Am category is under dispute. On the final lap of this race, Riley Dickinson remains completely untouched out front.
I've got a feeling he won one of the races at the Porsche Sports Car Together Festival here last year. But there's no doubt about this one. Lights to flag. Riley Dickinson, win number 8 on the season, comes to the pit wall to acknowledge the hard work of his Kelly Moss Racing team. The gap back to Jason Hart is 8.5 seconds. Then a cracking scrap going on further back. It's Alex Sedgwick, by the way, who has got onto the podium. Then Tom Murrell, Sargent, Varwig, Travis Wiley, Jason Hart in 9th position with that penalty. Then a great battle going on. Stefan Rosinski, Efren Castro, Marco Cironi right there in the battle for the Pro-Am victory. The blue and red car. Oh, great run though by the black and gold car sitting in behind. Can he get to the line? He does. Wow, Cironi puts Will Martin between himself. Efren Castro puts Will Martin between himself and Cironi, and right at the end it looked like Cironi had an opportunity, couldn't make it stick. Great drive by Scott Noble, who comes to the line now in the number 10, the blue and white MDK Motorsports machine. Mark Kavami, his teammate and championship leader in the 43, did not make any impression on Scott. Qualification was superb for Scott Noble, and Kavami comes through at 15 seconds to Scott Noble. Well, we're running out of superlatives for our championship leader, Riley Dickinson, taking the points, taking the pole, taking the victory, and increasing the points lead, Shea Adam, as we are halfway through this Indianapolis Motor Speedway weekend for Porsche Deluxe Carrera Cup North America.
And it's only going to keep growing if he does performances like this with pole positions, fast laps, and of course the race win. 103 points at the start of the race. And given that it was not a good day for Tom Sargent, second in the championship, or Will Martin third, I think that gap has only grown even more. We are now getting to the point, John, where Riley could wrap this thing up tomorrow.
Really, with 4 rounds to go, excellent. Right, we'll have to get the points permutations out. Tom Sargent finished down in 6th position. He'll be disappointed with that. He did have the fastest lap of the race, and that should have been at least a 2nd position, I think. So into the pit lane, an absolutely resounding victory for Riley Dickinson. Did it from the front. Behind him, all kinds of carnage, including for his championship contending rivals. But Kelly Moss and Riley Dickinson clock up another one. It's Riley's 8th on the season, from Dan Clark and Alex Sedgwick on the podium. 2 bricks joining Riley Dickinson. Great run for Efren Castro to Pro-Am and to Am. For Scott Noble, we'll do it all again tomorrow. Bye-bye.